Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Well, now it turns out the hantavirus has been discovered in Illinois, the middle of the United States, and it is not connected to the cruise ship. I really did not think they were going to do this to us again. I really did not think they were going to turn this into another COVID-like pandemic, but maybe they actually are. Maybe they are. This is how it begins, right? It's a cruise ship. And you're thinking, well, I don't go on this cruise ship. And then they say, oh, yeah, well, there's a lot of people on this cruise ship and they disembark and they're all around the world. And you say, okay, yeah, but, hantavirus, I mean, you're trying to fearmonger us again. And what are the chances I'm going to come into contact with somebody who was part of this cruise ship? And now they say to us, oh, but it's not the cruise ship anymore. Anybody could get it. This person in the middle of Illinois got it because they were cleaning up rat droppings. That is actually the story.
Also breaking here this afternoon, a possible case of hantavirus in Illinois. Health officials say the case is not linked to the deadly cruise ship outbreak. They say a resident in Winnebago County, just over the border from Rock County in Wisconsin, may have contracted the virus while cleaning a home where rodent droppings were present. The CDC is conducting additional testing on that person in Illinois.
Oh, okay. So this is how it begins. And this is not the only one now. There's also a cruise ship, a different cruise ship that has some sort of illness going through the ship. People have died, and it is now docked off the coast of France. People are not allowed to disembark. There's about 1,700 people on the ship. They don't know what it is. They say they're not sure yet if it's hantavirus, but they're testing to find out. So the cruise ship is called Ambition, and it is carrying about 1,700 passengers, many of whom are British, and they are stranded now in Bordeaux, really off the shore of France, after an outbreak of what looks like stomach flu. So one of the ship's passengers, a 92-year-old Brit, had passed away on board due to cardiac arrest. So they do tell us there's an illness on this ship. One person's died, but then you read into the notes a little bit more and it's, well, okay, he died of heart attack during a stop in Brest, Brittany on May 11th. And that death did not appear to be associated with the gastrointestinal outbreak, said the local French authority responsible for the Bordeaux region, right? They think he died of a heart attack, and what's spreading on the ship right now looks to be stomach flu. So they're saying there's no reason to think the stomach flu outbreak came from Belfast or Liverpool, which is where the ship came from, with the hantavirus cluster on the luxury MV Hondias ship that traveled between Argentina and the Canary Islands. So the French authorities allowed some passengers to leave the Ambition ship, which is run by Ambassador Cruise Line, on Wednesday evening, adding
So we are up to 16 states with potential exposure to the hantavirus. And the French passenger who started displaying symptoms on her way back to her country being repatriated is now in very critical condition, and they are having to use an artificial lung to support her. Now, these additional states include Minnesota, Kansas, and Washington State. As I said, we're now up to 16 states that have potential exposure. It is important to note that all 18 people are still in quarantine. Remember, they are giving them the choice to go home. Right now, as it stands, they are all still in quarantine. Now, this right here is the doctor from Bend, Oregon. He was on the ship. He is also the one person that's in the biocontainment center in Nebraska because he had the mildly positive test. Again, they're saying mildly because he took 2 tests on the ship. One was negative and one was faint and positive. Now, as of May 13th, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we're also tracking a man in Illinois. We fear that he has contracted the hantavirus and he was not on the ship. Now, surprisingly, they have tested that man because remember, they were not going to test all the other passengers that came back from the cruise ship. And it said that it could take up to 10 days for those results. The Illinois Department of Health is actually saying that they believe that he came in contact with rodent droppings that gave him this virus, if he indeed has contracted it. Because again, he had no contact with anybody from the cruise ship. Also, if he has the hantavirus, it is supposed to not be the strain that is the Andes virus that can be transferred person to person.